I'm Brandon, and this is Video Game History, a show where I look back on a certain franchise of video games and retrospectively review them. As we continue to look at the long lineage of Cartoon Network games, we come to the home console debut. The Powerpuff Girls Chemical Extraction was the very first Cartoon Network game to be released on home console, being released on both the PlayStation 1 and the Nintendo 64. For this review I played the Nintendo 64 version, however from what I can tell there's no significant difference in content between the two versions. Chemical Extraction is the fourth Powerpuff Girls game to be released, but technically it's the second, as the first three games are essentially exactly the same. It was developed by Viz Entertainment and Asylum Entertainment, and was released in North America on October 14, 2001 for the Nintendo 64, and November 8 for the PlayStation 1. The reviews are not so good. On Metacritic there are 2 scores of 7 from GameZone and PSX Nation, but the other 4 reviews are nothing higher than a 3, receiving a 2 from IGN and a 1.5 from Game Informer. Similarly, the Nintendo 64 version received a terribly low 1.5 out of 5 from Nintendo Power. These scores are alarmingly low, but could a Powerpuff Girls fighter really be that bad? The Powerpuff Girls Chemical Extraction is a 3D fighting game, which should be a perfect genre for an adaptation of the show considering much of it consists of fighting. Upon booting the game up you have 2 modes to choose from, Story or Simulator mode. It's a given what Story mode is, but Simulator mode is just some convoluted name given to what would normally be called Exhibition or Quick Fight, which allows you to fight AI or a friend. I'm really not sure why they thought Simulator mode was a good name. Only seconds after selecting Story mode you are greeted with one of the dumbest stories ever. The Powerpuff Girls were baking a pie and decided for some reason to use Chemical X. They leave it on the ledge to cool, but oh no, it gets stolen by the villains and now they're superpowered by Chemical X. You're given 3 different campaigns to choose from, one for each of the girls. Once you've chosen which girl you'll be playing as, you then come to a Street Fighter-esque around the world stage select screen, with various locations from around Townsville present. After I selected the first stage, it was clear I had made a mistake. This is the world's most simplistic fighting game, even for something that is supposed to be aimed at kids. You basically have 2 options in each fight. Either spam your melee attack, or alternatively pick up various pieces of furniture and fling it at your opponent. I can sort of understand the simplicity of this, as this is definitely intended to be played by children. However, the real problem is that there's no need to even think. You just smash the button to kick them, and you'll end up beating them 99% of the time. You never need to dodge or block, just simply smash one button while staring at your watch. Fights are best 2 out of 3, but it's rare that you'll ever see that 3rd round and you certainly won't ever be losing. There's also some mechanic where if you collect 3 vials of Chemical X, you get a super one-shot kill move. However, I literally never bothered with it because I was winning so easily, and I didn't even bother to stop my opponents from getting it because it rarely ever made a difference in the outcome of the match. A few of the levels have environmental hazards to help spice things up, but for the most part they're just small, flat planes that are identical to each other. You go through a few opponents like Billy from the Gangrene Gang, Fuzzy Lumpkins and Mojo Jojo, but it's nowhere near enough. I beat Blossom's campaign in around 6 minutes. 6! On to the next one I guess. Perhaps there will be different levels and different enemies? Nope, it's literally the exact same fucking thing! But what the heck. It took me 6 minutes to beat the campaign, so let's do the other 2 and see if anything special happens.
A few moments later.
After completing all 3 campaigns in quick succession, I unlocked a special level where I could battle him. This fight was laughably easy like everything else, and once I'd beaten him, that was it. Nothing else for me to do except play Simulator mode. I timed how long it took me to beat the game to 100%, and I clocked in at 25 minutes. 25 fucking minutes. Most Flash games on Newgrounds last longer than that. Imagine being a parent, buying this for your child who loves Powerpuff Girls. And keep in mind Nintendo 64 games cost an arm and a leg back then. Just for little Billy to beat the game in half an hour. I have no fucking idea how not 1 but 2 publications gave this a 7 out of 10. I usually hate the whole duh video games reviewers are paid off, but who the fuck could think this is a 7? What's even worse is that of the reviews I read, not one mentioned how ridiculously short the game is. In fact, the IGN review actually made it seem like it was a slog to get through. Yeah, it must have been hard having to play it for an entire 30 minutes. Maybe I was missing a difficulty setting or something, but if I did, it wasn't obviously present, and if there was one, the game clearly comes default on the easiest setting.
The Powerpuff Girls, Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup. Powerpuff Girls Sea Watches.
The Powerpuff time is 3 p.m. Yes, ma'am. What? We'll be right there. Girls, move out!
The Powerpuff Girls, cleaning up criminals Powerpuff style.
Mojo, you creep. I gotta go save people and stuff. We got work. We can handle this.
Animated Powerpuff Girls Sea-Watches for the girl on the move, each sold separately.
The Powerpuff Girls Chemical Extraction is a bad game. It's not a glitchy broken mess, and I guess it plays okay, but it's 30 minutes long. All you need to do is smash a single button and you'll beat the entire thing in the time it takes some people to eat dinner. Maybe the simulator mode would be fun with some friends, but the gameplay devolves into just hitting a single button, so you might have as much fun just slapping each other in the face. It's not the worst Cartoon Network game so far, because like I said, it's not broken, and it's not as dreadful as those earlier Powerpuff games. However, it's still awful and still continues a trend of terrible Powerpuff Girl games.